The only reason they call me is because I'm the mother, really, of gospel.
Yes.
You know, not so much because I'm a queen and all of that. I'm a pastor and I'm a singer.
Yes.
And I love all of that.
The First Lady Who Wouldn't Die, July 4th, 2014. Shirley Caesar buried her husband that month. 31 years of marriage gone. Bishop Harold Ivory Williams, the man who stood beside her at the pulpit, who traveled with her, who believed in her, was laid to rest while thousands packed the church for 2 solid days of mourning. But when the funeral ended and the crowd dispersed, Shirley went home to a silence she'd never known. And then his children turned on her. Harold Jr. and Hope kids she'd helped raise, kids she'd treated as her own, came after the estate like wolves. Real estate. The same woman who had fed their family with her voice, who had poured decades into ministry while standing beside their father, was now being questioned, challenged, painted as someone who'd taken what wasn't hers. She thought losing her husband was the worst thing that could happen. She was wrong. By 2018, the internet had found her. Someone leaked documents twisted, incomplete, deliberately vague, and suddenly the narrative exploded. Shirley Caesar stole $2.3 million from her church. People who'd never stepped foot in Mount Calvary, Word of Faith Church, were suddenly experts on her finances. The woman who'd spent 38 years feeding the hungry, clothing the poor, hosting Christmas giveaways for over 1,000 families. She was now a thief. Ernst & Young came in. Independent audit. Clean books. 98% of every donation went exactly where it was supposed to go. The other 2%? Shirley had covered it with her own money. She was cleared. Vindicated. But here's the thing about the internet. Truth travels slow. Lies sprint. The damage was done. The headlines stuck. And Shirley Caesar, 11-time Grammy winner, First Lady of Gospel, a woman who'd performed for every president since Jimmy Carter had to defend herself against strangers who'd already decided she was guilty. You want to know where this fire came from? Go back to Durham, North Carolina. October 13th, 1938. A house with 13 children and walls so thin you could hear gospel rehearsals from 3 blocks away. Her father, Big Jim Caesar, worked the tobacco factory by day and led the Just Came 4 by night. He wasn't just a singer. The lead. Little Shirley watched him like he was made of light. Then one day in 1950, when she was just 7 years old, he had a seizure and dropped dead. No warning, no goodbye, just gone. And Shirley, this tiny girl who'd been whipped earlier that day for breaking streetlights, convinced herself she had killed him. That ill-dead afternoon, her mother Hallie had a lame leg and no income, 13 mouths to feed. So Shirley cooked, cleaned, cared for her siblings, and sang, because singing was the only thing that brought in a few dollars, and a few dollars meant they might eat that week. By age 8, she was doing solos in churches. By 10, she was traveling with the Just Came 4. By 12, she walked into a studio and recorded I'd Rather Have Jesus for Federal Records. They billed her as a 12-year-old lass, even though she'd just turned 13. But here's what nobody talks about. She was still a child carrying the weight of a dead father, a struggling mother, and siblings who needed her to keep performing so they could survive. Most kids were worried about homework. Shirley was worried about keeping the lights on. Fast forward to 1958. She's 19. She walks up to Albertina Walker. Welcome to the Caravans, kid. This was the group that launched Inez Andrews, James Cleveland, legends, and now Shirley Caesar was standing beside them, pouring every ounce of pain and fire into songs like Hallelujah, It's Done, and Sweeping Through the City. But she didn't just sing, she preached. Mid-song, she'd drop into a sermonette, a spoken message woven so tight into the melody that you couldn't tell where the music stopped and the ministry began. Some of the other members weren't sure what to make of her. She was loud, unconventional, bold, but the crowds loved her. By 1966, she'd had enough. 8 years with the Caravans, and she felt God pulling her somewhere else. So she left, walked away from the most famous gospel group in the country, and formed the Shirley Caesar Singers. Risky, absolutely. Reckless, maybe. But she trusted her calling more than she trusted the safety of a brand name. In 1972, that risk paid off. She won her first Grammy for Put Your Hand in the Hand of the Man from Galilee. The door swung wide open, and she never looked back. It started as a country song. Harlan Howard wrote it in 1974. Sweet little tune about a boy who bills his mother for doing chores mowing the lawn. cleaning his room, taking out the trash. His mom responds with a letter of her own. 9 months, I carried you. No charge. Nights, I stayed up when you were sick. No charge. The boy tears up his bill and writes back, for my love for you, mama, no charge. Shirley Caesar took that song and owned it. She mixed her talk singing style with raw emotion and turned it into something that broke through the gospel ceiling. It hit number 40 on the Billboard Hot Soul Singles chart. Pop radio played it. Secular audiences heard it. And suddenly, gospel music was crossing over in ways it never had before. Record labels came knocking. Make more songs like that. We can make you a star. But Shirley held firm. She wasn't interested in fame. She was interested in ministry. And if that meant turning down bigger paychecks and radio play, so be it. Then came the fall. September 2025. She's 85 years old, still preaching, still singing, still traveling. And during a public appearance, she collapses. You dead? Is she dying? Her spokesperson says she's stable, but the rumors don't stop. By 2024 and 2025, false reports of her death are spreading like clockwork. Strangers show up at her house with flowers and prayer cards, mourning a woman who's still very much alive. She has to record videos just to prove she's breathing. Unless I'm a living dead person, she says, voice shaking. I know nothing about my supposed death. Imagine that. Imagine watching the world grieve you while you're still here. And through it all, through the lawsuits, the rumors, the collapsing, the nodules on her vocal cords from taking steroid shots, just to keep performing 2-hour prayers every morning at 4 a.m. Bible read cover to cover every year. Never missed a Sunday service, even when her body begged her to stop. In 2016, a clip from her song Hold My Mule went viral. Beans, greens, potatoes, tomatoes. The internet turned it into the You Name It challenge. Millions of people who'd never heard of Shirley Caesar were suddenly remixing her voice. She saw it on a cruise, blinked, smiled, and said, maybe this can help raise awareness for the causes I care about. She didn't fight it. She embraced it. Because even in the chaos, even in the noise, she saw an opportunity to serve. That's who Shirley Caesar is. A woman who won't stay down. A woman who buries grief, fights lawsuits, survives internet mobs, and still shows up at 4 a.m. to pray for people she's never met. She once said, I can't sweeten the Atlantic Ocean, but I can take a pitcher out and sweeten that. And maybe that's the whole story right there. One pitcher at a time, one life that refuses to quit, even when the world demands she rest.